Hi, I'm Danita Williams-Trigg.
And I'm Tommy Amal.
Hi, and we are here for the 14th Phoenix FearCon. Can you believe that?
That is a lot of time.
That is a lot of time.
It is a well-loved event.
And Tommy, tell us what are we going to be talking about today?
We are going to be talking about the final girl in horror movies. What is a final girl, you ask?
Absolutely.
It's the one who ends up alive still at the end of the movie. She's probably watched all her friends get slaughtered, probably her boyfriend because he's a pinhead, but at the end, she faces off with a psychopath and she makes it out. So she is the final girl.
Absolutely. Final girls, I love them.
Yes.
Because you either love them or you either hate them, right?
We expect them. In most horror movies up to now, we expect the final girl, but hopefully the formula's kind of changing, and we're going to talk about a little bit of that very soon.
Absolutely. You know, when I started doing research on the final girl trope, it just really, I really became interested in where who she was, where she comes from, how she has changed over the years.
Yes.
For me, personally, Final Girl is a really strong female character.
Yeah.
She can survive anything that's thrown her way.
Yes.
To me, especially now in the 21st century, the phrase final girl really implies resilience.
Yes.
Perseverance. And strength.
Yes.
Okay.
That hard girl power strength. There are no damsels in distress here.
Absolutely.
We talk about the final girl because she made it.
She made it.
She fought.
So the phrase final girl is really interesting. And during my research, I came across a film scholar named Carol Clover, who coined the phrase final girl.
Oh, yeah.
In a 1987 essay. It was called Her Body, Himself, Gender, and the Slasher Film. So she really talks a lot about the horror subgenre of the soul survivor, who she coined as the final girl.
And who thought we'd still be adapted to it in 2021.
Absolutely. She describes the final girl, and I quote, one who encounters the mutilated bodies of her friends and perceives the full extent of the preceding horror and of her own peril, who is chased, cornered, wounded, whom we see scream, stagger, fall, rise, and scream again.
There we go.
Isn't that a quote?
There we go.
There you go. So we see this female character go to hell and back, okay?
Yes.
She's screaming, she's running, she's stabbing her way through survival.
The car's not starting. The cell phone doesn't work all of a sudden.
Right. Oh, but you know what? She has to be perfect, virginal.
This formula. It's ridiculous.
But of course, by the end of the movie, she herself has become a monster.
Yes.
Just like the monster she is running from. She has to become a monster in order to survive.
And to survive, because usually it's be careful chasing monsters, at least you become one yourself.
Absolutely.
But in kind of Final Girls, they kind of got to flip it like that.
Absolutely.
If they're going to survive.
Absolutely.
You got to fight fire with fire in these horror movies, okay? They especially, I don't know why, do it seem like serial killers or psychos get a kick out of killing the women.
Exactly.
See, that's what we like the final girl. We like when she has taken care of the psychopath.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So we know that back in the day, at first when Final Girls started, that they had to be relatable. They had to be relatable to their audience. Their audience at that time were young boys, right? So she is typically, the final girl was not sexual. She was kind of shy. Her name and her appearance is kind of boyish, right? She's not really feminine, nor is she really masculine. And she really, she was kind of genderless in a way.
Kind of an average American girl.
Absolutely.
Because we know that the ones that get killed are usually blonde. And then the football player. We have a cliche for every person in horror movies. So that's interesting.
Absolutely. So I would challenge you, the audience, to watch the next slasher film that you watch. Really look at the final girl. and look at those points. Was she kind of genderless? Was she shy, sort of asexual, virginal?
And actually, there's a series. If you go to Hulu, there's a series called Slasher. I would take a look at that one.
Absolutely.
That's a good one airing right now.
Yeah, see if these final girls fit into this trope. So what Tommy and I did is we came up with what our favorite sort of final girls were.
Yes.
Now, remember, my list, of course, is not complete in the least. Sally Hardesty. So we know Sally Hardesty, Marilyn Burns from that great first Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 1994.
Still a fantastic series.
So we look at Sally. She's not really sexual. She's not really masculine or feminine. She really takes care of her wheelchair-bound brother. And, they're really out just trying to find out who vandalized her grandfather's grave, all right? She's this sole survivor. She's just watched all of her friends get chopped up, mutilated, and they are served to her as dinner, right? So poor Sally, she has to endure this gruesome hell just to survive. And just when she thinks she's going to be able to get away again from this crazy cannibal family, she's caught and brought right back to the house. So who cannot remember the iconic scene of Sally being dragged to the table and tied up and being served her friends? Every time she screams,
there's a lot of screaming.
Screams. Oh my goodness!
There's a lot of screaming going on. And with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they kind of modeled that movie after Ed Gein. He was an insane psychopath who would cut women's body parts off, and he made chairs and tables. And it was said that when the police went in there and found everything, most of them started to hurl because it was gruesome. They had never seen this before, but that's kind of how Texas Chainsaw Massacre is tied into Ed Gein.
Yeah, and you talked about Ed Gein on our last panel.
Yes.
You talked about Ed Gein and about during our monster panel. So
yes,
if you didn't get to see that, you missed a really great workshop.
Yes.
So by the time Texas Chainsaw Massacre ends, and poor Sally, she did get away eventually, but I think that when they, at the point where they drug her to the table and were screaming basically in her face, I would have just killed myself just to get out of that craziness. But Sally, she luckily survived. Sally survived by luck, though. I don't think Sally really, she wasn't much of a fighter. She survived simply by a lot of luck.
And I think at one point there, her mind had to have been completely gone. So I know sometimes when that happens, you kind of lose your fears a little bit. So I'm sure she was in that position because there was nothing that she's seen that probably wouldn't have devastated me for the rest of my life. I mean, like counseling 4 days a week type of thing.
Oh, yeah.
But she still made it.
Sally was going to be traumatized. I'd like to see Sally today and how she made it. You know what I mean?
That would be nice as a sequel. How did she do mentally after that? They were the final girl. And, most of the sequels just come out with, a new group of people getting killed. Yeah. But that would be kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, it would be, you know what? I think that I would make Sally the killer, right?
Like she kind of got passed on as the killer, so she's picking up where he left because she was all traumatized.
Crazy. At this point, yes. Absolutely.
I would love a femme fatale.
Nancy Thompson, Heather Langenkamp from the first Nightmare on Elm Street.
We love Nancy.
Absolutely. 1984.
Those nice thick eyebrows she had that we wanted to just arch so bad. So we love Nancy. We love her.
Nancy, typical teenager.
Yes.
Just trying to get through high school. And I don't know about you, but high school for me was hell. Poor Nancy, just trying to get through high school. She starts having these nightmares of this disfigured man in a red and green sweatshirt with knives for fingernails. Nancy's trying to warn her friends, right? One of her quotes is, "Whatever you do, don't go to sleep."
And they're like, "Oh, come on, girl." What is she talking about?
She was a quick learner, sneaking the coffee pot into her room, drinking coffee all night.
Doing what you got to do.
Absolutely. Reading those survivalist books in the school library.
Survival 101.
Right, absolutely. What really freaked me out was the fact that Nancy's hair, by the end of the movie, had turned gray. She was.
Was it the stress?
You think? You think it might have been the stress? I would have been pretty stressed.
Gosh, it's such a fantastic franchise, though. At least you know the first few. I mean, that's like classic that'll go down in history and go down in history.
Absolutely.
That's the icon.
Absolutely.
Cult classics.
And one of my favorite quotes of Nancy's that she says is, "I don't know who he is, but he's burned. He wears a red and green sweater. He's really dirty. And he uses those knives like giant fingernails."
And he did actually use them as giant fingernails across the board.
He did.
He just had to be annoying.
Absolutely. So I think Nancy was ingenuous, and she, like I said, she was a quick learner, and she survived.
Yes.
She survived until, well, what, 3 or 4?
I want to say, yeah, it was one of those.
Yeah.
And I was kind of shocked, like, And after that, I kind of lost my feel for them because, like it's just like having Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween. If they're missing, you're kind of like, oh. Or, you know, when they do Poltergeist, there's no Tangina. Like, what?
Yeah.
You know, I missed her. And that was, like, around the time when I started watching it.
Yep.
I missed Nancy.
Absolutely. Number 3 is mine, Jess Bradford, from the original, it was Olivia Hussey, from the original Black Christmas in 1974.
Yes.
Now, Jess was pregnant, did not want to continue her pregnancy. This was just a year after Roe v. Wade, so this is pushing the envelope.
Yeah, I was about to say, is that kind of controversial when it came out?
Absolutely. So we know, and we're going to tell you spoilers here if you haven't already seen these movies.
You should have.
But yeah, you should have. I should have told you.
We won't mess with you too much.
I should have told you to change the channel before we started, but it's too late now. So Jess Bradford was living in a sorority house during Christmas time, right? Serial killer hiding in the sorority house, starting to kill off the sorority sisters.
Good old cliche.
One by one over winter break. Okay. I really feel like Jess's struggles are still sort of relevant today as a final girl. Because when she finds herself in this position, she tells her boyfriend right out, her artist boyfriend, and I quote, I'm canceling all baby food orders.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
Jess was tough. It took courage to kill her boyfriend, who she thought was the killer. Unfortunately, he was not, right? So I think that Jess, she got the job done. She was a tough cookie, willing to kill, to cut your boyfriend's head off. Thinking that he's the killer. So Jess, she's the perfect final girl.
That was pretty harsh.
Yes.
I mean, you couldn't maybe chop a toe off, tie him up for a minute, but I got it.
I kid you not. Black Christmas was one of the first horror films that really scared me.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. You know, just the creep in the attic, making the phone calls, just creeped me out. Now, I have to tell you that I haven't even seen the remake, because for me, the original, you can't do any better.
Some are untouchable and should just be left alone.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I got you on that one.
Absolutely. Now, my 4th final girl, this next slide, is of Sidney Prescott. We know, played by the famous Neve Campbell.
Neve Campbell, and I love her in these franchises. I love her.
Absolutely, 1996. Yes. She's really considered the first modern day final girl. Yeah. Who is stalked in her first Scream. She's literally stalked actually by her boyfriend in disguise. So that was messed up, right? She again is a good girl, typical 90s good girl, well, the one thing about Sydney is that she had sex and lived to talk about it, because we know that one of the descriptions of a final girl is she's virginal, right? So she did get
down a little bit.
Talk about it. Yeah, she did talk about it, and she's also a really fully developed character is the wording I'm trying to find. She has a multiple arc journey, with her parents being killed. She really has a life that's sort of that's beyond the franchise of Scream.
Yes.
So she was tough as well.
She is. I like her.
She was really hard to beat. All of those ghost faces that she ran up against, she was tough.
Which is an infamous mask now, too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yay, Sidney Prescott for standing up. and killing a lot of people.
You got to become a monster.
Absolutely. Number 5 on my list, of course, is Sarah Carter. It was Shauna McDonald. It's from The Descent in 2005. The Descent was also one of those films that really sort of stuck with me. And really sort of bothered me because of those creatures in the cave.
What I liked about it is that they were all women.
Absolutely.
I love the fact that they were all women, and in what, like the sequels, like they do end up becoming insane. I mean, you're down in these tunnels, you don't know what's going on with these insane creatures that nobody has ever heard of. I like the fact that it's mostly all women cast that are going into these caves.
Absolutely.
Because they have to get smart, and they did have to start using teamwork at some point, or everybody was just going to get. But I love strong women roles. I just love them so much, and this is one. Even part 2. Part 2.
You're absolutely right. Here we're only talking about the first descent. So we know that these 6 women, they have history together.
Yes.
All right. They go on this cave spelunking trip after Sarah's husband and daughter are killed in a car accident. And I feel like we're sort of led to believe that this trip is one about burying the past, but really it's really about burying their animosity that they have towards each other.
Frenemies.
Because it's it's rumored that one of the characters, Juno, was having an affair with Sarah's husband, and Sarah and her husband and the baby were in the car and were fighting about this, which caused the car accident, right?
Yep.
So, the iconic scene of Sarah at the end breaking Juno's knee and leaving her behind. She takes that pickaxe and she clonks her in the knee, leaving her behind.
She had a flashback. That flashback of
absolutely, leaving her in the cave for the flesh-eating monsters. That's
it's kind of messed up, though.
It's very, very messed up.
It's kind of messed up, but
it's very messed up.
You kind of feel her. You got empathy. I understand why she did it.
I really like the UK ending, though.
I don't know.
Leaves her. They leave her in the cave. She's left. She's the final girl, but she's left in the cave. She can't find her way out. I really liked that they didn't try to tie up the end with a pretty bow like the American version, because that's what happened on the American version. She got out. In the UK version, she's left in that cave.
Well, I need to watch the UK version then, because I've never seen that one.
Absolutely. Again, great final girl. A very good final girl.
It's a very good movie. I still jump. I've watched it so many times, but I still jump.
And thinking about the psychology behind the cave dwellers, because we automatically want to make them monsters, but in reality, they're in their house. I mean, I would do the same thing. They're in their house. Somebody comes into their house.
You're protecting your property.
Exactly. That's all they were doing.
That makes so much sense. And it's funny because I heard somebody kind of make a comparison like that when sharks were attacking people in some water somewhere. And they say, these are shark-infested waters. And somebody's like, no, this is their house.
Absolutely.
It's people-infested waters going into their territory, and they're protecting it. So I totally get the gist of that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Another great final girl left trapped in a cave. Yep. To wander alone in the darkness.
Yes.
Well, this next final girl, number 6, Ellen Ripley. Now, I did not,
Ripley.
Doing my research, I didn't even realize that Ellen Ripley, Sigourney Weaver, was considered a final girl, but she was.
Because she's so tough, though. Like the movie doesn't fall into that typical campy horror that we think about, but she's like just a hero. I mean, boom. I can't even see her as a final girl, though she is. It's just because she's just got that reputation that precedes her.
Absolutely. So Alien, I believe, 1987. Is when Alien came out. I think that Ellen Ripley, Sigourney Weaver, is the definition, true definition of a final girl. We're going to take all of the other Alien sequels out of the mix. We're just talking
we'll leave her for right now. That's a classic.
The original Alien,
yes,
right? Okay,
which is great.
In the sequels, they kind of turn Ellen into an action hero, right? But for me, the original Alien is a horror film. It is a horror film.
Jumps all over the place.
Absolutely. Yes. Here she is. Final sole survivor at the end of the film, again, after all her friends and colleagues are
watched them get chewed up and spit out and puked out.
This incomprehensible force. And so as far as I'm concerned, again, Alien is a horror movie.
It is.
All right.
Horror sci-fi.
So the best final girl
Who was your
ever
best?
produced. Again, look at the definition of final girl, her sexuality, her gender inconsequential. Ripley smart, very smart, very quick thinking. She's really just the best amongst her peers, right?
Yes.
So remember that Ripley, she tries to warn everybody about bringing in the guy, the wounded crew member. She
Always got
tries to
somebody
remember
with the
everybody.
heart on their sleeve that insists we need to help everybody.
So the captain
We should help everyone.
false hero captain.
You shouldn't.
Ripley was just trying to go by protocol. She
Right.
really was.
There's a reason for protocol.
She really was.
You in space. There's a reason for it.
She was just following by the book. Captain overrides her description or overrides her concerns. What happens to the captain? He's the first victim.
See what happens when you don't listen?
Absolutely. First victim of the creature that bleeds acid, right? So he definitely, they tricked us because he definitely was a false hero, right?
Yes.
So Ripley was smart. She watches the cat Jonesy, right? She uses Jonesy as a warning beacon, okay? Fights her way into being that final girl and is able to just blast that monster into space.
I think that's what I see her more as an action, just because she was just so hardcore. She didn't lose any of her femininity, but she was hardcore.
Yes, she was.
Yeah.
And you remember that tagline, "In space, no one can hear you scream"? Oh my goodness, that got me. That got me.
Kind of
Alien. Try to watch Alien if you've never seen it. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yes.
Because we did just give you spoilers. My seventh and last final girl, I think, is really important for my list is Geraldine. Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yes.
From 1995.
Yes.
Demon Knight. And the reason
Yes.
I really like Geraldine is because she was the first, really for me, black final girl.
She was. That's what surprised me
Yeah.
the most about it. And she was kind of a bad girl, which
she
is
was
why
a
she was in
badass.
his house.
She was a badass. She was,
Yes.
she was on, Geraldine was on probation.
Yeah.
Right?
So yeah.
She was on probation from jail, all right? She establishes herself as someone who right away doesn't need the help of a man.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Very independent.
She wasn't your typical white virgin, right?
Nope.
She didn't fall for the killer's traps.
Her hair wasn't long and flowing. She had
That's
a short
right.
tapered haircut, which fits her
Absolutely.
head perfectly, as we all know.
Absolutely.
But
Geraldine did not go out without a fight, and she was fighting.
Yes.
And she to me realized that after we find out, because the whole Demon Night sets you up for all kinds of different surprises.
Yeah.
Because the good-looking guy you think is the good guy, and the guy who's kind of rough around the edges.
we kind of think he's a criminal, the
Yeah, and
psychopath.
it's just reversed. But once Geraldine and he have their, they're helping one another.
Yes.
She becomes the chosen one at the end.
She literally dances with the devil.
Absolutely. Literally dances with the devil.
And I loved that. I was really surprised when I seen that, and I was just so happy. Like, oh my gosh, the black girl survived. Oh my goodness.
She survived.
Go ahead, Jada. I think that's the only horror I've seen her in before, if I'm not mistaken.
With
She
her,
did good.
she survives with her wit. She keeps her wits about her.
Yep.
And there's another black female character in Demon Night that survives, that literally gets her hand chopped off and handed to her.
That's just terrible. We laugh at stuff because we love horror. It's just
Yes.
a movie, so
Yes.
it's funny.
If you get a chance, all these movies you can literally rent off of Amazon, right?
Yes.
If you want to watch them. I'm going to go back and watch them again just because they all have my favorite final girls in them.
Yes.
So that's my list.
Yes.
Of my 7 favorite final girls, even though I have a ton of them. We don't have enough time to go through all of them.
That is a great list, because you threw a couple in there that I have forgotten about. So I love your list.
Well, thank you. I'm excited about your list.
We're ready to get going.
All right.
Okay, so we got your final girl list, which
Yes.
was fantastic.
My favorite final girl.
Now it's my turn.
Absolutely.
You want to hear about my strong women?
I'm excited. I'm ready.
Let's get down with it. right. So the first one I want to talk about is Sanaa Lathan as Alexa Wood in Alien vs. Predator, right?
Yeah. She was a badass.
Here's what kind of got me about the movie first. We have a black woman, scientist. She's in, in space doing some things. Right now we need so many women in science, so much more. So this was the first one I'm seeing like, okay, women got this.
Yeah.
And through the movie, she's being chased. She doesn't know who's trying to kill her, who ain't trying to kill her, but she just needs to know, I got to go.
Yeah.
Because I don't stay in stuff like this. We don't do that. So we got to go. But what really got me is that she was still standing at the end with the Predator.
With the Predator,
and she wasn't even scared at that point because they had already made the bond like, oh, so me and you cool?
Yeah.
I got you.
I like how he tried to scare her.
Yeah.
He opened up his face and tried to scare her, and she stood her ground.
And because at that point, again, they're already psycho. Nothing else can scare them. So
Final girl.
Yes.
Final girl power.
Yes. And I would love to see Sanaa Lathan in another horror movie because most of the movies she plays, she's kind of maybe, a love story or kind of dainty, but she showed out on that road.
Yep.
So that's my favorite. Yes.
Yep.
Loretta Devine as Reese Wilson in Urban Legend.
Yes, Urban
First of all, she's a security guard on the college campus.
Yes.
But she bad. She ain't gonna get the fat. Yeah, and older black lady. Yes.
Final girl.
She ain't gonna hesitate grabbing if she need to grab something to clock you with it. But to see Loretta Devine at her age, her gender, again another black woman who's protecting these college kids.
Yep.
And I loved her in that role because she was still Loretta Devine.
Yep.
Her character. Loretta Devine, but she put some stank up in it. And it's like, boy. You don't cross over into my territory.
Yeah.
So that is where I love Loretta Devine in Urban Legend.
Yep.
All right. Next one. Let's talk about Abigail Breslin as Veronica in the movie is called Final Girl. Right. So these, these privileged guys, some privileged white guys, a bunch of them, they take girls out to the wood and literally hunt them, right? But this time around, they picked the wrong Bia, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They picked the wrong one. And in this one, she's thin, she's blonde, she's dressed up in a dress because she thinks this guy is taking her on a great date, only to get there and realize all these dudes, something ain't right. What's going on?
What's up?
Yeah. But what happens is she gets them. They didn't think she had the skills that she had because, of course, they don't get to know these women. They just want to, get them out there, hunt them, and think it's fun, and go home and drink and wake up the next day in their rich lifestyle. Yep. But they got the wrong one this time. And she handled all of them.
Yeah,
she handled them all. Yes, she did. So that one, she was blonde and dainty and pretty. But that's why you don't judge a book by its cover.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Our Scream Queen, Jamie Lee Curtis, as Laurie Strode.
Classic.
And my favorite Halloween. Listen, she's the final girl in every single one, even from the beginning, because we've known her now, right? We've known her since she was a young lady, and then all the way up to now, she's got kids of her own. So we know her personally, and we know what she's capable of. But right now, she's really, he didn't mess with her daughter, first of all. Now she's really, really mad.
Yeah.
So come this October, there's another Halloween coming out. There will be one more in 2022. I think that's when he will finally die. She will not. I don't see Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode going anywhere. But we got one more after this year, and I'm going to cherish that. I'm going to cherish that series.
And I'm so glad that this is another final girl that her character was developed. To see her life outside of all of, all of the trauma that she has experienced.
Right, and she's even in a mental ward for a minute because, again, these psychos make you almost crazy like them.
Absolutely. You become the monster.
Yes, but she's also known as our Scream Queen, so we always going to love Jamie Lee Curtis.
Always rooting for her.
Yes.
Yep, always rooting for her survival.
Up next, this is going to be a little different for you, if I may.
Please.
Final girl, it's going to be the 1958 Plymouth Fury, played by Christine. Woo-hoo-hoo! That's right. Perfect. Christine the car. Let me tell you first. So some people, I've had this debate. They say, oh my gosh, Christine was this terrible murdering car and blah, blah, blah. Hold on. Let's find out a little bit about her first before we call her terrible or murderer. How I seen it, she was was trying to protect her owner. She loved him with all her heart, you know. She seen that he had these guys up here bullying him, and here's a chick who's probably only talking to him now because he's suddenly cool now that he restored this Plymouth, right? So I see it as Christine protecting him. And then even at the end, Christine is popping back. That body is getting snapped back. Just wait.
She's coming back.
Yes. And it is a remake on the way.
Fingers crossed that it's good.
Please stick to the storyline. Please, that's all we beg of you. But Christine, I love that. Christine is a final girl. Yes. And that car has actually been toured around the country and whatnot. It was eventually purchased by someone. It was beautiful. She's beautiful, isn't she?
Yeah, I would like to drive the Christine car.
She's she's a ride or die chick. Literally. I wanted to say that so bad, but she is the ride or die chick. She had Artie's back. She did not play. Now, I'd like to throw in a wild card here. If you ever watch any of the sleepaway camps, they're the campy horrors, you know, the camp kids get murdered on there and slaughtered. There's actually 3 of them. I would like you, if you haven't seen Sleepaway Camp, I want you to watch all 3 of them back to back. Some of them are for streaming free right now. I want you to think about when you watch Sleepaway Camp, the one who plays her name is Felissa Rose. Her name's Angela in the camp. Tell me if you think Angela is the final girl or final guy. And I know people who haven't seen it, it's like, what is she talking about? Yes. You're going to find out, and I think that's a wild card, so we would love to hear what you have to think about that one.
Tell us what you think about Sleepaway Camp.
Yes, Sleepaway Camp. And there's 3 of them. There was going to be a 4. It eventually got trashed, which is a good thing because it left on a decent note. So we're happy about that. But watch that. Tell us what you think about that question.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think that we both of us have some really great final girls.
Yes.
And we would like to hear from you. Who are your final girls?
Some non-traditional, maybe some in indie movies. Let us know, you know, because we will go watch them. You know, we want to see them. I love, like I say, I love a strong woman role that just kicks some butt and she ain't scared of no dude or anything else. Ain't no monster.
Absolutely.
Please.
Final girls have changed.
Yes,
you know?
very much.
They have changed from that virginal, you know, non-sexual.
Angelic. Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't drink underage.
That's right.
Or have premarital sex.
I left my way out of the killer's grasp to a really strong, powerful character. So yes, please let us know who are some of your favorite final girls.
Yeah. And if you know a final guy, chat with us about that too.
Absolutely.
Because I'm anticipating some final guy stories. I want to be the one with the rusted pickaxe hacking everybody up, and I want there to be a final guy. You know, let's shake it up. We're in those times now. We can do that. We can shake stuff up, make it your own, but let's get some final guys in there.
Absolutely.
Yes. So now you have our list of the final girls, some of our favorites.
Some of our favorite final girls.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you again for joining us
Thank
today.
you very much.
And thank you to FearCon for having us once again.
We love you, Chris. Thank you.
Yes, talk about some of the things we love to talk about.
Horror.
I'm Danita Williams-Trigg. What I have coming up next is a film festival in November.
There we go.
The 26th to the 28th, a night of Misfit Films in Scottsdale, Arizona. You can go online to a night of Misfit Films at gmail.com to get more information, or on Facebook, A Night of Misfit Films. And Tommy, what do you have coming up?
Yes, so I co-host a show that is on Instagram, it's on Facebook, it's on YouTube. It's called Gotta Be Real, and real is spelled R-E-E-L, just like a film reel. So it's Gotta Be Real movie reviews with Tommy and Jules. We put out 2 videos a week. We do new movie reviews without any spoilers. We let you know if it's appropriate for your kids, if you should go matinee, should you wait for Redbox. We're going to fill you in all of that, but you won't get any spoilers whatsoever. So go ahead, like and subscribe to us. We also take requests. We love classic films, and actually we'll do pretty much any genre. Just let us know. We'll watch it. We shout you out on the show. All right? Go ahead. It Gotta Be Real movie reviews with Tommy and Jules. Thank you.
Yeah, great. And they don't give spoilers.
No spoilers.
Like we did today.
We are avid non-spoilers for the new movies coming out. We'll give them clappers and let you know what we thought of the movie. Yeah, we dig into it without exposing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for having us in your homes today.
Appreciate it.
And we will see you next time at the next FearCon, FearCon 16. See you then.
Bye. See you back.